Okay, so dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear friends, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Mm. What a lovely story, Zach. Thank you for sharing that. There's so many actions, things that we say and do in our life that we don't get this kind of mirroring back on, right? Things that we said, the way we look at someone, what we have done for people in their lives that actually has meant something. And sometimes it meant a whole lot, and we don't hear back about it. Doesn't mean that it's not there and we're continuing in that person, in that situation, right? So it's a way of returning and relying on our actions, if you will, taking refuge in our actions and their continuation. So we can enjoy a couple of sounds of the bell. And I've been enjoying here today the awareness that for some, being aware of the breath, it could be anxiety producing, uncomfortable in different ways. I just met a young woman a couple of days ago at a community college where I taught a Buddhist class, and she was asking me about this in a pause, and I said, oh wow, it's great that you ask, because she felt like so many meditations are based on the breath. That's like, I'm getting this anxiety when I'm in contact with the breath. So just listening to the sound could be one way. To follow the sound that arises, that stays and fades away. But also leaning into the silence that is the background for the sound to appear. Can be a focus of our meditation. Just returning to ourselves in this present moment. And with the sound of the bell, allowing the different parts of us to reunite, arriving at home. So when I was approached if I wanted to join and offer something, the theme of relying on love and awareness just came to me, and maybe as inspiration or a way to remember what do we take refuge in, what do we return to, and especially in challenging times. Like, it's easy to get discouraged. We see and hear things going on, and where is our attention going? There's also so many wonderful things going on. So many people waking up, so many people doing wonderful practices and offering ways to bring community together to help heal trauma and so on. And it's when that trauma of past generations or in the collective is not transformed, held tenderly and understood, that it continues to to spread and cause suffering. And so returning to love and awareness, relying on love and awareness, can we do that even if in challenging moments? When I first discovered Thay's teaching when I was traveling in India, and I just attended a couple of Buddhist retreats, I felt like the Buddha's teaching was so clear, something to rely on, something to have confidence in. And I journeyed with Thay's commentaries on the full awareness of breathing and the 4 establishments of mindfulness during those months in India. Even before encountering Thay, he'd made a profound impact in my life. And it spoke to my kind of intuitive insight and love within me. We all have it. As we were introducing ourselves in the chat and what kind of bodhisattva would like to be, I say I want to be a limb in the Maitreya Buddha body. I talk about Maitreya Buddha, the Buddha of love, as a community, as a collective. And when we're on the topic of bodhisattvas, the bodhisattva Sadaparibhutta of always encouraging came to me and touched me deeply during my first retreat in Plum Village 2002. Is the bodhisattva going around into the world, joining their palms, in deep contact with their own love and awareness, bowing. I see someone of great value. You are a Buddha to be. How can I belittle you or look down on you? And so that has been, that image, that practice has been a source of refuge for myself. Can I come in contact with that Buddha nature within me to some extent? That awareness that it's not just limited to my attention on something particular, but the awareness that actually is pervading my body, my consciousness, and the world around me. Help me to get in touch with that love and that reverence. I have Thay's calligraphy behind me. Reverence is the nature of my love. That reverence of seeing the value and the preciousness of each person, each being, as a Buddha to be. And what kind of seeds are we watering then? How are we continuing with that kind of awareness, of that kind of a recognition? My wife, Emma, she's an alternative therapist. She told me many years ago she worked as a teacher assistant at a Montessori or Waldorf school, like inspired by Rudolf Steiner. And the teacher said that in the evening she would always visualize the students as if kind of sending loving kindness to the students in the evening, as a way of seeing them in front of her and wishing them well, caring for them, seeing their qualities, maybe even the Buddha nature, I'm not sure. And my wife took that to heart, so a short period later when she was volunteering at an orphanage in Mexico for several months, she did that with the group of students that she had. And in the beginning when she came there, they were like angry sometimes, they were acting out in class, they didn't come to class, and slowly she did this every day. And they start coming early, and they start having fun coming to this class, and so on. And so the power, the strength of relying on love, together with awareness, is not just some emotion love that is dependent on causes and conditions. So as we're practicing to breathing into our heart, it's beautiful. Sometimes I practice that of breathing in through my heart, touching the warmth, the light, the care, and breathing out, letting it spread throughout my body, throughout my emotions, my mental faculties, my consciousness, as a way of returning to this source of love that's already in us. It's so easy to judge and complain and to criticize or try to fix, order things so it's gonna be okay. And when I'm been able to return to awareness and love, I can also be more, I don't want to say courageous, but willing to see suffering in the eye and to feel it within myself and around me. And just being there together with it. And when do I close down? When do I start having distracting thoughts? When do I feel like I need to go in and fix something in me or in the other person I'm listening to? Is a good indicator to, okay, how can I embrace this that is coming up? There's kind of a hindrance, there's a kind of a resistance in me. That's actually how I came about the path. For real, I was working as a family lawyer in Stockholm. I was also doing volunteer work at a children and youth hotline. We would listen to children and young adult teenagers calling in, just wanting to have an adult to share with, someone that would be there to listen. And in that process, after done that a couple of years, so rewarding, so beautiful, and heartbreaking what young people go through. But I also recognize, like, after a couple of years, on the third year, I was like, I start having resistance to go there. One time I even like kind of pretended I forgot that it was my turn to go. Because I was aching inside. There was the boy inside of me that hadn't been heard fully, that hadn't been respected and cared for fully by my parents or teachers or myself. I didn't recognize it clearly at the time. It's been precious also to learn how to listen to the child within me, to bring the child within me for things that he also enjoyed to do, but also to listen. Sometimes when there's I have it, if I feel like I do this very seldom, but sometimes if there's something like I need to, like, I want to pick a fight with someone or make some drama or some like emotional upstir there. It seemed very helpful to, like, what is it that is triggered in me? What is it that is live in me? Where are there resistance in me coming up? And so as we're practicing coming back to our breath with the bells of mindfulness, we're practicing being aware of our steps and our bodies in daily activities, our awareness strengthens. Our stability strengthens. We're not as easily carried away by reactivity, with distractions, with our habit energies. And if we can combine that too with a loving, caring approach, already mindfulness is already caring, because it doesn't judge, it doesn't take sides, and you seem to have the capacity just within it to calm and to soothe, for us to be able to relax just by being aware. So the times when we're triggered, the times when we're out of balance is a great opportunity to learn something new, to embrace something that hasn't been embraced yet. I didn't realize this years ago. There was a wonderful opportunity. I also say that suffering has gifts to us. We can grow through it if we're willing to return and be with it. So in our daily life, what do we rely on? What do we return to when we start feeling distracted, when we start feeling stress or tension? It's great to even like draw down or write down, like to remind ourselves that these are my go-to things. This is what works for me when I'm triggered or when I'm losing myself. It might be rubbing my face, rubbing my ears. Might be drinking a glass of water or listening to the bell. What is it that works for me that already touched me? So we can return and reestablish some kind of a balance. And how can we do it in challenging times? I learned a lot going through stage 4 cancer. I got the diagnosis in August 2018 when I was in the Midwest for an earth holding retreat. And the following 6 months or more was an ordeal in many ways, many new experiences. And my kind of a life shrank in a way. I couldn't participate in the Sangha activity. I couldn't go to the dining hall. I needed a ride to go anywhere apart from like just in the room I was staying and just outside of it. And one evening, and in comparison to a rich community life, it seemed like at times like, wow, really? Can I let go of this? Can I still be present without like losing hope or getting dispirited? And one evening I was weak in my body, I was aching, I was like, yeah, just that so many things are just like, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, releasing. And I could still kind of go to the bathroom and take care of my things, needs, and brush my teeth on my own. That was a great gift in a sense. And so that evening, as I saw myself in the mirror, I took out the toothbrush. It's like, can I brush my teeth with as much kindness as possible in this moment? And in returning to that simple act of brushing my teeth, probably helped that I practice the mindful teeth brushing and allowing my thinking to subside and just being there, enjoying brushing my teeth for many years. But that moment is like, oh wow, like can I express this love and tenderness to my teeth? I can brush my teeth. To my hand, I can still brush my teeth. And somehow in that is like all the challenges, all the problems kind of dissipate. It doesn't mean that I'm well and in perfect health all of a sudden, but like my perspective like drastically changed just in a couple of minutes. And so like moment to moment like that, to come back to that, to kind of shift, oh wow, from this perspective, like this situation is bearable. Like in some of the beautiful text that was in the guided meditation earlier, Like if we can expand our heart, we will suffer less. Thai sometimes shared with the community if there was something like we were upset about some idea Thai had or something, he allowed us to expand our hearts in many ways. It's like when our heart is as big as a peanut, we suffer a lot. And then we might think that it's the outside that's the problem. Can I instead, like, I don't have so much control and say in what's going on outside or even in politics or in war or whatever. But like, how does it affect me? How do I act in the situations of my life that I do have a say in? And what place within me am I relying on to come back to and act from that place, to live from that place? And so I don't know if you've heard the story. It's a story of the time of the Buddha I appreciate. It's also kind of highlighting the same example. It's like the Buddha have a hands full of salt and some kind of vessel with some water in it. And he asked his disciples gathered, if I pour this salt into this container of water, would you want to drink it? It's like, oh no, master, it will be undrinkable. It's too salty. It's almost the same much amount of salt as water is no good. And then the Buddha looked behind him and saying, how about I take this handful of salt and spread it in this river behind us? Can you drink the water of the river? Oh, yes, master, it's no problem. We can still drink and enjoy the water from the river. And in this same way, do we trust that we have this immeasurable minds of love available to us? Not to Thai, not to someone else. They practice longer or they're like something like that. But in me, can I trust that I also have these immeasurable states of mind, of love? How much am I experiencing? How large is my vessel that can hold this clean, fresh water? During this day, during this month, during this year, has it expanded or has it shrunk? And there's no judgment in that. But we can judge from our own well-being in our life and how we've been able to show up for others. If our cup is expanding or if it's been shrinking. And so sometimes we need challenges to kind of like, poof, we just have to let go. It's too intense to hold on to and have from the same place of our being as we're used to. We just have to like let it go. And in some of those moments in my life, it was partly laying in my bed at Deer Park, asking myself, if these are the last days of my life, could I find peace with that? And in the period leading up to that, I had so much gratitude for all the wonderful things I've been able to experience and be part of in this life. I say like, wow, it's more than I could have dreamt for or hoped for. At the same time, it's like this sorrow that had been coming up every now and then. It's like, yeah, maybe I won't be able to go up in the mountains again. Maybe I won't be able to offer a retreat and a talk again. Oh. Some of these things that meant a lot to me in my life, maybe I won't be able to do it again. So to have the gratitude and be filled with the awe of the things that we've been able to experience and to do in our life. And to grieve the things that might not last forever. And that was some of the preparatory kind of stages in the way of laying there and like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep breathing. Yeah. would I be willing to let go? Would I be able to let go in peace? And in that kind of a surrender, that kind of a letting go, release, whatever you want to call it, there's so much light and love and reassurance. And in those moments, we interpret what we experience through our views, maybe our culture, our religious traditions. But like, there's nothing to worry about. Life is in the present moment. It continues. And so, are there moments in our lives when it's been too challenging? We haven't frozen. We haven't disassociated in that way. We haven't acted out, but we'll let go. We'll open up and let go. It's like, okay, I don't. This is beyond me. What happens? A lot of us have had this experience in smaller or bigger ways. We feel lighter, we feel clearer, and there's some kind of a burst of energy. We have more resources at hand all of a sudden. And just reflecting on this topic and this session, I have one of the first times I attended Thai. It was at Deer Park, the legendary winter retreat, rains retreat in 2004. All the monastics from the tradition came to Deer Park at that time, and with guest monastics, maybe we were about 400 for 3 months. And the first morning I came into Thai's house, and one of the first things you would do is to prepare tea for Thai. And I was already like, I've been instructed some, and I've been a monk for just almost a year. And I was coming into the hut, and I was kind of going to the tea tray. I was just checking that Thai was awake. And I was starting to prepare tea. And boiling water and checking the teapot. And there was brewed tea in the teapot. So I smell it and it's like, oh no, I don't want to serve Thai tea that has been used already. I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw it out. And just as I'm like about to throw it out, it's like I hear Thai's voice saying like, don't throw out the tea, it's still good. And too late. I was like, oh. In that moment, it's like, okay, I was already a little bit tense. This is very new. This is very intense to be close to your teacher that you love and respect so much, and you want to do a good job. And then I made a mistake. The first thing is like, okay, I have to make new tea, and the water boils, and I pour hot water in the teapot. And every single moment, like there's a kind of a living room, and Thai has his, is gone now, but that old house, he had his own bedroom, and then the living room where I was making tea. And Thai was kind of coming in, and I was about to go and pour the tea. He said, no, wait. Is not ready yet. I was like, oh my God. So how much restlessness and how much stress and so how much like it's too much. But in that moment, the situation was too intense. I couldn't I couldn't release it to just like let go of my ideas, let go of my hopes to be a good student and so on, to just brew the tea, to trust this intelligence that is deeper than my idea of things. Later moments and situations, I was able to let go and rely on that, like I mentioned. So in that moment, okay, luckily it was time to go to walking meditation after the first cup of tea. So we started doing walking meditation. And then at least you're behind Thai, so you feel like it's a little bit more at ease. And so the most beautiful and precious moment, like to be with your teacher, like an intimate setting like that, it could be also very challenging, very stressful. So that is where life is an art, right? Sometimes I talk about artful living now as a way of expressing the art of mindful living, or the art of happiness, the art of suffering. And we cannot just act on our past experience and our views and our ideas, our knowledge on how to do things, and then we feel, I've done the right thing. Like I've waited this amount of seconds, now I can pour the tea, now it should be good. But it's something deeper. We start trusting our Buddha nature within us. And that's actually one thing that one of the most precious things Thai offered a lot of us, all the students. So much trust and confidence. And not just monastic students. Like, it's able to see the good qualities in us, the potential in us, that we maybe didn't even see ourselves. So when we look at each other in the family, in the Sangha, at the workplace, what is that we return and rely on in terms of like what do we pay attention to in the other person? Is our heart wide enough to see the beautiful qualities? Is it wide enough to notice when a colleague is suffering? Or maybe is worked up about something? Can we just be there? As a way of being an arm of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, to offer a drop of compassionate nectar to help reduce suffering. Many years ago, and I was practicing in it just was so clear when there's some kind of a worry arise in me, and there was some kind of a kindness. The first time I experienced it, I don't know if it was like the kindness just came out of itself or if it was for the worry, but like when this worry and certainty was arising, if there could be kindness there together with it, I feel so safe. So what are the situations when we feel like we're not sure, we feel maybe weak, vulnerable, we feel somehow not safe? Can we touch this source of love and loving kindness within us? Because there are many different, I mentioned the inner child earlier, but what are the aspects inside of us that we have little patience with, that we're not willing to embrace, that we have, we shun, or we kind of happy to have it a little bit tucked away, where we definitely don't want anyone else to know about this. And so when we bring kindness, then we can start relaxing, we can soften. So both in the inner and the outer, loving kindness help us feel safe. And recently I read a book, is in Swedish, is about kindness, or to be nice. I feel like the way it was talked about is like kindness. And even in all these kind of corporate settings, in all this kind of different situations where you actually look at the benefit of being kind and how it creates community, how it creates bonds, how it creates trust that make us grow. And so we can also together expanding our hearts. Maybe I just take that as a short example. It kind of came in, I don't know how relevant it is, we'll see. And so it was his CEO, and he needed to save millions of dollars in the company. And normally that would mean like you fire some employees. But there was insight and love in so he realized like, no, that's not. I'm gonna propose for all the employees in the company to have 1 month of unpaid vacation this year. So everyone stays. So this is this act of insight of interbeing, that we're in this together. How can we stay together and make it work together? This also acts of kindness, not just to like cut people off. Yeah. And it seemed to work. And one way it worked was actually that the people then took responsibility and start making kind acts among themselves as well. Some that just couldn't afford this month of unpaid vacation started trading with people that had more of a space in their economic situation. So it was like somehow it worked out, and the prosperity of the company, it grew, so they actually could, in a couple of years later, they were actually expanding. Because when we lay off people, then the people that are still there, they start looking left and right. Maybe I should like look for another place of employment. And then you kind of leak the company of the talent, the resources. And so from that insight of interbeing and acting out of love, actually even the company could grow. Because then everyone would feel a part of actually being part of this. And closer bond were developing, so everyone were offering a little bit more of themselves. In any situation, we need to feel safe to really to flourish. This is maybe one of the biggest gifts I got in the monastic community, of feeling this kind of the aspect of love in trust. Of like, yeah, go ahead, we trust you with this. Yeah, it's extremely empowering. So what are the people around us? How can we show our trust in them? How can we include them even in our difficulties, maybe then? Not just to, it's easy, one last example from my period of cancer. I had to ask for help. I had to be open for help in a whole new way than I had before. And actually I could enjoy it. I could actually lean into it. Somehow, because I was confident in my own generous actions. So like our actions are the ground that we stand upon. It felt very true at that time. Like, how do I act? How do I live my life? What kind of a future is that bringing about? And then how many people and brothers and sisters were happy to offer when I needed to receive. And just feel into ourselves of what is touched, what is alive in us right now. On this topic of relying on love and awareness. We are coming in contact with our chest, our heart, on an in-breath if we're comfortable. Touching this loving awareness. On the out-breath, letting it expand. Light up our whole body, warm up our whole body. Breathing with love for this body. inner smile in our heart, the loving, tender smile of kindness. Breathing into the heart, touching the inner smile. Breathing out, caring for our emotional body. Breathing with love and kindness. Breathing this loving kindness into our mental body. Breathing with loving kindness and letting it, this loving awareness, spread throughout our consciousness. Breathing with loving kindness, my consciousness. Breathing loving awareness into the collective body and consciousness. Feel happy and safe. May you feel happy and safe. May all feel happy and safe. Allowing a couple of deeper breaths and gently move our bodies. Oh, thank you. I'll stop there and